Hi everyone, I'm Kat Ogar and I want to welcome you to tonight's webinar, How to Boost Your Immune System Naturally. We're going to go over 5 different ways to do that. So I'm just going to share my screen with you so you can see the presentation. Let me pull that up. And we'll go to full screen with that. I'm just going to minimize that. Okay, awesome. So tonight we're talking about 5 ways to cleanse your body to boost your immune system. And usually I have my fellow health coaches, Janice and Susan, with me, but they had other commitments tonight, so I'm going to be offering this by just me tonight, but they'll be joining me at future webinars, so stay tuned for that. So, my story. Some of you probably know me and my story already, but I'll just go over it briefly. I had health issues my whole life. Apparently, when I was a kid, I was lactose intolerant, and in the 60s, nobody knew about that. My mom had no clue. She would make me drink my milk, even though I hated it. It made me feel really horrible. I drank it because she asked me to. Well, you know, moms, that's what moms do. And hey there. Hey, Jude. How are you? I'm just getting started. Just talking about my story and how I ended up really coming into this field, being really sick as a kid. And as I got older, it didn't get any better. And over time, I developed what is now commonly referred to as leaky gut syndrome. And that kind of ties in with becoming hormonally imbalanced, cortisol being the biggest culprit. And I've talked about that on other webinars, and I will talk about it again, but that's one of the things that happens when you're feeling really off balance. There's a hormone that's released from your adrenal glands called cortisol, and if you keep releasing cortisol frequently throughout the day because you're tired and you're pushing yourself, you think that's a second wind. We call that the second wind, but it really isn't. It's an excess of a stress hormone, and that's why we start to get stressed out and our systems start to break down. So at any rate, those are some of the things that were happening to me, and I became sicker and sicker, and so it led me on a journey to try and figure out a better way to take care of myself and to do it using things that are natural. I just, I don't know, I just was able to stumble on that at an early age, and I feel really fortunate about that because a lot of folks don't have that option. They go to the doctor and they get put on a regimen of meds, and that becomes their story. My story is different, and I think it was just one of those things where that's what happens. So what you can expect from tonight. Let's see. So you're here because you want to feel better. You want to take better care of yourself. Sometimes you know what to do. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do it. Sometimes you don't. And cleansing and detoxing is one way to start moving yourself in a better direction as far as health goes. And things that happen when you detox are your sleep becomes much better. And why that's important is that our body heals when it's rested. Most people don't get the rest that they need. They're busy. I hear a lot of women say that their quiet time is when everybody else has gone to bed. So that could be anywhere between 9 and midnight or later. And if that's your thing and you think you're doing yourself a favor because you get a little peace and quiet to get some certain things done for yourself, you're not really doing yourself a service with that. You're depriving your body of the rest that it needs in order to operate efficiently and heal. Mood. When we don't eat well and when we're not taking good care of ourselves, we can have mood swings. We can get really mad. We can have hissy fits and outbursts. And I don't think anybody feels good after one of those. It's really not something that any of us are proud of as a rule. So we try to stay away from that. But if that's like the mode that you're in, you feel like I can't help how I feel. And so either you have an outburst or you suppress it, and neither one of those is good. If you're stuffing down your emotions, it's not good. If you're exploding with your emotions, that's not good either. So we'll talk about how we can, somehow manage to make that happen either less frequently or not at all. Cravings. Cravings are another thing that we're driven by. And again, it goes back to being overworked, overstressed, and tired. When we're tired, we crave quick energy. And that usually comes in the form of something sweet or something salty and crunchy. And quite honestly, they're both the same thing. They both boost up blood sugar. And so you've got these highs and lows with your blood sugar, and that's not great either, because that goes back to point number 2. That makes us a little crazy and makes our mood swings even more pronounced. Because when the blood sugar's crashing, if we don't have something readily available, and especially if it's not healthy, we're just going to get on a cycle up and down. And then hopefully you'll learn some ways to increase your energy without using artificial stimulants. And what I mean by that is, coffee and caffeinated beverages. Most of the women I talk to that they use coffee because it helps them get going, or maybe like a strongly caffeinated tea, it's a better version, but still your body has the ability to give you the energy that you need. But if you're constantly depending on something to boost it, like coffee, then you're losing the ability to do that on your own. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then at the end, I'll just mention a program that if you want to take it to another level, I do have something that's coming up in November, and you're welcome to take a peek at that and see if it makes sense for you. Okay, so 5 reasons to cleanse your body. Let's get to it. So using a car analogy, I think everybody's gotten a tune-up for their car, and they may or may not notice that it runs better. Usually you do notice it. Our body is the same. We want to make sure that we're periodically taking good care of it, so that we don't get caught up in this cycle of always feeling run down, or any type of illness that we're prone to. And I think we all have those things where some of us are prone to certain things more than others. Like you might have inflammation of the joints, or you might have, like for me, it's a gut issue. The worse I take care of myself, the more exacerbated those symptoms become. So obviously, whenever I can take some time and eat clean for a period of time, it reverses those. Now, life isn't perfect. We're not always going to be able to eat that way nonstop, but these are good opportunities to take like this set amount of time where you commit to yourself to doing it, and you'll see that you're able to feel better. And then over time, you'll want to do that more frequently. Your body will start to shift to a healthier regimen. Or if you have something that doesn't, that you're eating that's not really the greatest choice, your next thought will be, okay, where's the salad? Believe it or not, that actually happens. One of the things we want to take care of when we're cleansing is our liver, because it is the primary detoxification organ. And so it can get bogged down and clogged with gunk, just like a car. And so the better we take care of that, the better we're going to feel. And of course, the gut, which is something that I like to talk about a lot, because it's been my primary issue. There are more neurotransmitters in our gut than there are in our brain. So that should tell you how important this system is. And also there's a connection between your gut and your brain. So at any time when you're taking better care of your gut, your brain function is going to improve. So we'll be talking a little bit more about this as we go on, but if you're foggy headed, or you can't think straight, or you can't find your keys, there's a reason for that. So periodically doing a detox or cleansing, it keeps your human engine humming and helps you to have better health. And as we age, we want to either hold on to the energy and vitality that we have now, or improve it, because nobody wants to age and feel old. And it's unnecessary, quite honestly. If we're able to, put some things in place and take better care of ourselves, then you can see that you can have these things that you want. It's not something like a pipe dream. It's possible. Side effects to eating clean. And if you've done a cleanse before, then you've probably experienced a couple of these, if not all of them. You're going to drop a couple pounds, because especially if you're a salt lover, you're going to drop that the extra fluid that you can retain from having too much salt. You're definitely going to improve your energy levels, get rid of the bloating. when your body is, when you're eating something that your body doesn't like, the biggest place where it's going to push it out is the skin. The skin is actually considered our biggest organ. It's considered an organ in certain medical systems like traditional Chinese medicine. So if you'll notice, if you have dairy, if you've been off dairy for a while and then you eat something dairy, like maybe you have ice cream, then your face breaks out the next day. There's a direct correlation to that. So something to keep in mind. Sleep, we already kind of touched on, and then relief from aches and pains. Because when you're eating foods that are anti-inflammatory, then your body has the ability to lower that inflammation, and inflammation is the leading cause of all disease. So we want to keep that minimized as much as possible. So just like it says, a cleanse is a vacation for your digestion. It's a reset, a fresh start. There's a number of ways you can detox, and we're going to go over them, a bunch of them tonight. But you want to give your digestive organs a break from some of the stuff that you've been either eating or drinking. So from a food perspective, it would be processed food, fried foods. Gluten can be a real irritant to a lot of people. Dairy is considered an inflammatory food. So if you've got any inflammation issues, then you definitely want to try and get rid of dairy. Herbal antimicrobials, what those are they can be in a supplement form, they can be in a raw form. Basically, there's stuff like calendula, ginger, garlic, those types of things. If you add those into your body, then they'll help to jumpstart that whole process that's going on in your digestive system. And digestive enzymes are essentially a supplement. And if you have a hard time digesting food, or you're not feeling at your best, what can happen sometimes, you can be eating really well, but if your digestive system's still out of whack, you're not getting the nutrients that you need from your food. So what digestive enzymes do is they help break down the food a little bit more and allow it the nutrients to be absorbed much more efficiently. Fiber, so you can get fiber from fruits and vegetables. Those things support your intestines and again, decreasing inflammation. Especially any vegetable that you eat is going to really help with that. And then, like I said, eliminating foods that cause sensitivities like gluten or dairy, even caffeine. The deal with caffeine is it speeds up your metabolism a little bit, which you would think would be a good thing, and I guess in moderation it is, but it also triggers cortisol, which is that stress hormone that I mentioned a little earlier. And we don't want a bunch of stress hormones floating around in our system because we're already stressed out enough. So creating a heightened sense of well-being. So if you want to feel better, have more vitality, then doing a periodic cleanse is going to help you get to that space. You know, you're not going to feel foggy headed. You're not going to feel physically weak, especially if you're the type of person that if you go without food for a certain amount of time and you get that, like the shakiness going on, that's a blood sugar imbalance. So by eating foods that stabilize that, like healthy fats, protein, proper amount of protein, those types of things, then you're able to stabilize blood sugar, and it's going to improve your overall well-being. As I mentioned before, these herbal antibacterial, so there's a list of them there: echinacea, ginger, garlic, calendula. Licorice root, it doesn't taste like licorice, so if you hate licorice, don't be put off by that. This is a huge stomach soother. You can get it in a tea. It also comes in a supplement. One of the ones that I love is called DGL, and you can get that on Amazon, and it's really good for just kind of soothing the stomach lining so that when you're eating, your stomach just works a little bit more efficiently. Okay, so a cleanse could possibly change your life. I would say that a cleanse could definitely change your life. I've done cleanses periodically throughout the years, and I always feel much better. Even if I have a cheat somewhere in there, I still feel better than if I didn't do anything at all. You're cleaning yourself from the inside out. And even doing it for a short period of time, it can make a pretty dramatic impact. So don't think that just because you're doing something for, if you join a cleanse that's 10 days long and you only get 3 to 4 days and that you've failed it. Absolutely not. Anything you do to move yourself in the direction of better health is one step closer to where you want to go. And you just keep trying. You just do the best that you can. And I think the most important thing is to not ever feel badly about choices that you make. If you make them, it's fine. And then just move on. And I think women in particular, we can be really hard on ourselves. We'll eat something and then we will beat ourselves up long after that stuff has been digested. So I would just put it out there to you that if that's your habit, to remember that I said this and give yourself a break, because that's not going to help you. Our mental health can often drive our physical health. So we want to keep that as positive and as healthy as possible. And one of the ways we can do it is, by stopping negative thoughts and then some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about here. One thing I can tell you from my own experience is that if I eat something that I don't like last night, I went to the Dairy Barn and got myself a pint of ice cream. No, it's only like freezing cold out here, and I decided that I was tired and I wanted it, and I had it. So today I just I changed my diet up because I knew I had to kind of course correct from that. So I had a green smoothie, or actually it was a green juice. There's a juice bar at the place where I do yoga, and I had to make me one up. So, you can do something and not be super happy about it after the fact, but you can also correct it. So it's not a big deal. All right, into the meat and potatoes of our presentation, 5 ways to cleanse your body. You probably know this one. Drink warm lemon water in the morning. It should be the first thing that you have upon waking. The reason being is that it will prepare your stomach for digestion. Have it before coffee, have it before anything. 8 to 16 ounces is ideal. Most people consider lemon to be acidic, and if you used a pH strip on it, it would show that it's acidic, the lemon juice. However, when you ingest lemon, it metabolizes as alkaline. And that's because most of us, especially in the United States, have very acidic diets due to the choices that we make. We want to kind of move ourselves a little closer to the middle of that pH scale. And this is one way you can do it. And even if you have coffee in the morning, if that's your habit, if you could do this before that, you're still giving yourself a leg up. Another thing that's kind of neat to do, if you're the type of person that keeps water in the fridge and, you grab a pitcher of it, the Brita, or on the counter or whatever, add a cinnamon stick. I don't know if you do it to a Brita container, but I guess you could. Cinnamon stick to it, so that'll change it up a little bit. It's anti-inflammatory, and it changes the flavor of the water, so it makes it a little bit less boring. You can also go spicy and add some cayenne. Skin brushing. Some people know about this, some don't, and it's an Ayurvedic practice. You don't do it in the tub. This is dry skin brushing, and basically what we want to do is get the lymphatic system moving. It does not move on its own, and it plays a huge part in our detoxification process, so we've got to move it. And one of the ways you can do it is through skin brushing. So you can see the directions here. You start at the soles of your feet, work your way up. One of the reasons why you want to do the soles of your feet is that's where the biggest pores are. So you want to make sure that those are clear, because we're probably thinking like, oh, no skin's going to flake off from there because it's relatively smooth. But don't neglect that part. And then just work your way up. Make sure you get in the groin area and the underarms, because you've got a lot of lymph there. And so going in a circular motion, counterclockwise, on your stomach helps with detoxification and digestion. And then if you take a shower after, which most people do, just try and use an all-natural soap so that you're not clogging up the pores after you just release them from bondage. And then there's a link here, and I'll be sending this out to all the folks on the call tonight, where you can kind of take a peek at what the brushes look like on Amazon. You want a natural brush. Usually they're made from like horsehair or something like that. And they're relatively inexpensive. They're usually less than $20. I know you can get them also in like a TJ Maxx or Marshalls or something like that. Drinking tea. So tea can boost your immune system. You want it to be herbal. It's really a better idea to keep the caffeine at a minimum, again, because you don't want to be triggering that stress hormone cortisol if you're doing a true detoxification. If you need to have caffeine in your diet because you don't want to get headaches, then I would say switch from coffee to tea. It's definitely a better progression rather than going cold turkey. And of course, drink a lot of water and fluids. That should cut back on any type of discomfort or headaches. And one of my favorite teas is licorice root tea, which I already mentioned. Does not taste like licorice. It tastes a little bit more like a cinnamony chai, but it's got a different twist to it. It's really, really good. Exercise. We all know exercise is going to detoxify us. The one thing I would recommend is do something that you like. If you don't like it, you're not going to do it. There's a lot of different things out there, even if it's something slower like yoga or stretching or Tai Chi, or if you're the type that wants to really pound it out and go running, whatever works for you. If you can get, 3 to 5 days in a week, 20 minutes to 45 minutes is perfect. And that's going to help you get rid of a lot of the toxic waste through the pores. Fruits and vegetables, if you can eat organic as much as possible, that is ideal, so that there's no pesticides in it. Your body doesn't have to work off that load. Basically, when we're eating fruits and vegetables, I like this analogy, they act like Roto-Rooter. They literally scrape off whatever's like hanging around on the insides of your intestines. So that's a good way to get things moving. And then this is my bonus tip, oil pulling. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this or not, but it's been around for a long time. It's another Ayurvedic practice out of India. And so you would put 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil. Most people use coconut oil. And at this time of the year, it's probably going to be solid, but it'll melt pretty quickly, or you can, warm it up if you want, if that's easier. And you just swish it in your mouth for about, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. You kind of have to work your way up to it because 5 minutes seems like an eternity when you're doing this. Then just spit it in the trash can. You don't want to put it down the sink because you don't want to be clogging the pipes. And do it on an empty stomach if you can. And it's if you have time in the morning before you get rolling or right before bed. And so basically what this is doing is it's getting rid of a lot of the toxins. There's a lot of bacteria in our mouth, good and bad. And so this is one way that you can detoxify yourself. And it's different, it's something different. Some of the other ones you've probably already heard of, so you can give this one a try. So giving your body the cleanse it needs will allow you to boost your immune system so that you can be the healthiest version of yourself. So I know that a lot of the stuff that we've gone over tonight, I think the next slide is a recap, yes. It's, a lot of the stuff you've seen, you've probably heard of, like the water, the vegetables, the exercise. So don't discount those just because they're commonplace. The thing is you've got to put them in practice. You can't just know about it. You have to do it. And even if you just pick one of those things and do it with consistency for at least, the whole 21 days to make a habit, or if you want to do it for a month, whatever works for you, you're going to see a difference. I think what happens is people would try to do all of these things and then give up in a couple of days. Don't do that. Pick whichever one or two interests you most, and then make that your habit. Use that as your starting point. One of the things to keep in mind is that when you do a detox, in the past, detox has gotten a bad rap because people would feel, they'd feel nauseous, they'd feel run down, they'd have no energy. You really shouldn't feel like that. If you're eating really clean, good food and you're getting the rest that you need and you're staying hydrated, then you're not going to feel weak. You're not going to feel cranky. Your head won't be spacey. There may be a little of that, but it won't be what you think. That would be something more like if you did a master cleanse or went to just raw fruits and vegetables, you'd probably more likely feel it that way. And most importantly, cleansing isn't about depriving yourself, because whenever we try and stop a habit, it makes us want it more. That's a mental component of us being human. Our body wants comfort, and what's comfortable for us is what's familiar. And whether that's good or bad, our body doesn't care. It just wants what makes it feel safe, and what makes us feel safe is what's comfortable. So just keep in mind that anytime you change your habits, you're inclined to give up pretty quickly, because your body's saying to you, this isn't safe. Even though you, in your mind, your logical mind, are thinking, of course it is. I'm eating fruits and vegetables, or I'm drinking half my weight in ounces every day in water. Whatever it is, just persevere and push through that, because when you make that the habit, then that becomes the comfort zone. So keep that in mind. Here's some foods that cleanse: lemon water. We've kind of gone over these: herbal teas, fruits and veggies. And then the lifestyle techniques for cleansing are the exercise, the dry skin brushing, and oil pulling. Now, these are not all there are out there for detoxing. These are just what we're talking about tonight. So if you see something else that comes your way that interests you, then definitely investigate that. So now what? Where do you go from here? Like I said, pick one or two of these things. I'll be sending out the presentation through email, so you'll have it if you want to review it. And if you feel like you want to take it to the next level because you are interested in doing something that's a little bit more structured, then there is a program coming up that I'll be running in conjunction with the two other health coaches that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Susan is from Indiana, and Janice is from Georgia, and we collaborate to run these programs together so that you have the benefit of 3 health coaches guiding you through these types of programs. So we're going to be starting on November 2nd. It's called the Fall Detox. It's basically an immune boosting detox. And the idea is to change things up a little bit so that you can get through the winter without feeling kind of run down or logy or overwhelmed with all the busyness, and certainly to keep sickness at bay, because it's possible to get through the winter season without getting sick at all. You just have to put the right steps in place. So if you want to feel stronger, if you want to feel ready to face the cold that's coming, it's kind of getting here already, and get your immune system up and running, then this might be a good option for you. So if this is something you're interested in, there'll be a link to sign up for this in the email that will be going out probably tomorrow. And you can, as a participant of the webinar, you'll be able to get $20 off, and it's valid through 10/29. The group program starts on November 2nd, and that's the prep. So we're not just going to push you into it and say, like, okay, let's go, hope you have all your food. We are going to literally start weaning you off the things that don't serve you. That I believe there's like a 4-day lead in. Then we're going to have some days where we're kind of sticking right to it. Again, if you fall off the wagon, no problem. Just get right back on, because this is about practice. It's not about perfection. And so here's your 3 health coaches that are going to be helping you. We've got Susan, like I said, from Indiana. Janice is from Georgia. And, of course, I'm from Mass. And we all have similar experience in that we graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, but we also have experience outside of that, which is what's really nice. Susan comes at this from the medical perspective. She actually works in the dental field, so she has a lot of information about bone health, and she's really big into to easy recipes. So she contributes quite a bit from that perspective. Janice is into functional medicine, so she also understands the allopathic side of things. She's being trained in that right now. She's also trained in hormonal health and gut health, the same as I am. So she and I have a similar background. And then, of course, my focus is on gut health, hormones, anxiety, depression are some of the areas that I tend to focus on. And I'll be bringing the information that I'm learning from the naturopathy program that I'm studying right now into the process. So let's see if I can get back to the regular screen. Let me exit out of here. And let's see. let me close that. So does anyone have any questions while I try and figure out how to get this back to the full screen, the screen share? I'll stop the share. There we go. Hey, there you are. Any questions? You're good? All right. So that's it. And you know where to find me. I'm on Facebook. My phone number is on my website, yourinfinitewellness.com. So if anything comes up, and look forward to getting the email with all the information. So if you want to check that program out, and if you have any questions about it, just let me know. All right. All right. Have a good night.